Well, welcome back to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. Well, in this video, I'm going to continue some work on the FP7s. I know in the last video I said that I wanted to wait till the electronic parts came in and stuff like that, but I want to get started on these things. I'm really excited about working on them, and there's some things I can do that will allow me to, get a head start on things. And typically I start with the trucks and I work upwards. So I will start with the trucks now. But before I do that, I did some little bit of experimenting with what I want to do with these models and how far I want to take them, compromises that I'll make on them, and things like that. So let me get the camera set up over here and I'll go through some of that and then we'll get to the trucks. Okay, so like I said, we're going to talk about trucks later on in this video, but right now I want to go over a few things that I've done to decide how far I'm going to take this model and things like that. First thing I did today was I built myself some shop trucks. Now you'll notice on the trucks themselves, or the trucks that will be used on this model, you've got this, let me zoom in a little bit here. You've got this leg here and over here. On the shop trucks, I don't. These came on the model, the black plastic model, and one of them was these were broken off on one of the trucks. So I said, shoot, I'll just make these as shop trucks. And what I mean by shop trucks is that I can then just take the model and I don't have to, clip them on to the frame. I can just put them out here and just put the frame right on there, and then the model can just sit there like that without me having to clip and unclip them and things like that. So I did that today. And I took a little liberty. I grit blasted everything, cleaned them up. I used that Crc degreasing fluid or spray. That stuff is fantastic. And I'll go over some of that later also. But on these, I love how the silver turned out on these. Now, my trucks are not going to be silver, but after looking at these, I go, ooh, maybe my railroad will have silver trucks, because I really like how they turned out. What I did is I used the trick that well, not necessarily trick, but the method that the static modelers use when you want a really good silver or bronze or gold or something like that. You put a gloss black on first and then spray the silver, gold, or bronze or whatever you want on there. And boy, does that really make them pop and look nice. So I did those today. And then, of course, I weathered the wheels. There's no worm gear in here, so I can push it along and stuff like that. So that I did today. So now I've got some shop trucks, and I'm really happy about that. All right, let's go over some of the things that I'm going to do and things I'm going to compromise on. Okay. Oh, real quick. I know I've told you I have 3 models. 2 are going to be my not Coppers, that's my old railroad. Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago, and 1 was going to be Pennsylvania, but they're now going to all be Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago. So one of them will be the original paint scheme for Carroll Port Terminal in Chicago, and the other two, I need to slow down with my talking. The other 2 will be the new image paint scheme after they broke away from the New York Central after the Penn Central merger. So that's what it's going to be. I want to do that. So okay, so let's go over a little bit here. The other day, when I said I was going to do the Pennsylvania version, it had the 36-inch fan up here. I've got my 3rd model in now, and it's a non-dynamic, and I said I was going to cut, a flat here to put the 36-inch fan there, but I'm not going to do that. But when I was thinking about doing that, it's like, okay, so if I'm going to put that in there, then I'm going to need to redo all of these fans also, so that they all match. And I've decided to use the Athearn 36-inch button top fans. That would be these ones here. They look really nice. I like them. They get them in a pack of 12. It's this right here. And so I'm definitely going to use these, and I'll cut them in, and they come with little fan blades and stuff, and I think they'll look really nice. I opted for these over the Canon fans, even though I have the Canon fans, because I don't have to build them. I just have to put them in, and they look really, really nice. I think Anthony did a really good job on those, so I'm going to use those. The exhaust stacks will be from Detail Associates. I have some on order, so those are coming in. Lift rings will be from Plano and stuff. So what I did, now to cut this off, what I did is that model that came in with the black plastic, the original version of the FP7. Put that back on there. The frame is different, so I'm not going to use a frame. So I milled the bottom of the tank off so that I can set it on parallels nice and flat, and then I can put, now this one I cut the tabs off of, so I can just slip it on and off, but on the shells that I'll be keeping, the tabs aren't cut off. So I can put this over it, and I can snap it into place with that hole there, and the same on the other side. And then, oh, I forgot to bring them over. Just a second. And I made these soft jaws out of styrene, and those can go just like that. They have channels cut in them so that I can put them like that on one side and the same on the other side, and then I can put the frame flat down on the parallels, use these soft jaws and squeeze the shell onto the in the vise, and it squeezes up against the frame, so I got a nice solid hold on that shell. And then what I do while it's in there is I'll take an indicator along this part of the hood and indicate to make sure that the needle doesn't move any more than, say, a thousandth or a half a thousandth of an inch from one end to the other, and then I know I'm flat and I can mill those off. Now I found out that the plastic is not exactly perfect. It kind of bows up a little, just maybe a thousandth or so in the middle and then down, but it's unnoticed. You don't see it. But it does make a difference if you cut down too far along these edges, because what will happen is as you're going down, it'll open it up more and then come back. So I'm very careful on what I do here, and when I do any sanding, I don't sand to the edges because I don't want to push that edge out anymore. So to take care of that. I'm going to take off the steam generator equipment, and my railroad ordered these without steam generators, and rather than the steam generator, they had them ballasted. So take care of that. Now I did do an experiment today on putting the Details West F-unit details on the back end here, and I decided to go against that, because you have to figure out how far you want to take your model. Do you want it to be a one-off show model, or do you want it to be a club runner, or do you want it somewhere in between? I'm like somewhere in between, but more towards the club runner version, and I don't want to go through all the work that's necessary to put all this stuff in, and I don't want to cop out and say that's the whole reason why. But when putting this in, you see how, let me use this. You see how this is cut out at the top here? Well, when you put the plate on that goes over this door, now I will put the plate on. That I will do. There's some things that I will do. So this is the plate that goes over the door. But when you put the plate on over the door, you can see down through the top of that. And it's supposed to be closed off. So that means I will now have to design something to fit into this area here to close that off. And it just started snowballing into more work that I didn't want to do. And so this model isn't a one-off show model. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it, pull this off, I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm just going to put this plate over it like that, so it'll look better. And plus, now I don't know, I've never seen the back end of an FP7 or an FP9, so I'm going to give Atlas the benefit of the doubt that it had a square window in the back. The Details West part has a porthole window in the back, so I don't know which way it went. I don't have any pictures of the back end of an FP7, so, but I like the Details West door and stuff, so if this was going to be a one-off model, then if it was going to be a one-off model, I wouldn't be using the Atlas model. I'd be using the Genesis or the Highliner model to build that, so I'm not going to go that far. The next thing that I'm compromised on was I was going to put this detail, the draft gearbox part, and as you can see, I cut everything off from around here. You can see that this is what it originally looked like, and this is what I've cut off of it. Now this would work. I mean, it fits up there where it's supposed to go. It fits up in there very nicely. But the problem is, if I put this where it's supposed to go, right here, it covers the screw mounting hole. So like, oh man, I'm not going to sit there and design all kinds of crap, you know, to fix that and stuff like, and things like that. And on top of that, there is no room in the back here to build another draft gearbox to mount everything to. So this is going to stay like that. I'm not going to go that far and cut everything out and stuff. Remember, these are Club Runner models. Get them done and enjoy them for what they are. I'm going to put good sound in them. I think I showed you the speakers for that and stuff. And I will do some modeling on them. Like I said, I'm going to do the fans. You know, stuff like that, and give it a good paint job. I will do the grab irons along where the doors are. I will put MU hoses and, you know, things like that. So there will be some modeling done, but for the most part, I just want to get them done and enjoy them. So as we go along with the shells, not these shells, these are all my test and junk shells. I don't know how I broke that ladder off, but I did. But anyway, and that one too, and that one. I have no idea how I did that. But anyway, doesn't matter. They're test shells and experiment shells and stuff. So this is the frame, and I've got it all cut out. When I do, excuse me, I'm going to do one model at a time. I was going to do 3 at one time, but I've decided that doing multiple models at one time is just too much work, and it's not that much fun. If you do focus on one model at a time, then it's, you know, the joy is there of seeing the model come together quickly and get it done. So that's what I'm going to do with that there. And so it'll be one at a time. The first one is going to be a new image model, so I'm going to do that and stuff. So when I also ordered some new milling bits, a deep or a long reach milling bit to get down in here, because with the milling bit that I have, the 1/4" milling bit that I have, the collet is just barely off the surface of this weight here. So I got a long reach, which is 4 inches long, that I don't have to get so close to this with the collet, and I can actually see what I'm doing. And the other one I could barely see what I'm doing. So when I get to the next one, I'll show me cutting that out, but I don't know if it's really worth showing that. So this frame is all done as far as cutting goes. I just need to get the parts, and I need to actually I need to drill the holes when I get the electronics mounting equipment that goes on here. I need to drill the holes and tap them to screw the parts to it and things like that. So that takes care of that. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I just forgot about it. So it must not be that important. So you saw what I'm doing there. And so it's time to get to the trucks. Now, taking the truck, you saw how to take the trucks off. These 2 tabs, you just kind of gently bend the truck down and then pull it out of the bolster. Now to take these trucks apart, you have to be very careful. The first thing you do is, this is the locking tab. Let me zoom in on that. Okay, there we go. So this, see, it's not focusing. Let's get it focused. There we go. So this is the locking tab on the back. I think it doesn't focus because of the glass. And then this is the hinge on the front. So you take a screwdriver, spread the locking tab down, and it pops off, and the wheel sets come out. So there's the truck set, or the side frames, and you got the wheels. The next thing you want to do is you want to take these pickup strips out. They're just this frame right here presses into or around these pins. So you just take your screwdriver and you carefully pry that up. Pry that up. This one actually comes off pretty easy. And you just take those apart. Do the same thing for the other side. Just pry that up. Some of them are on really tight and you hear them squeaking as they come off. And you take that part out. These trucks are in really good shape. Now the next part you have to be very, very careful with, because on all of them that I have, this bridge right here is cracked. As you can, I don't know if you can see it, but it's cracked right there. And the other side is cracked also. You can see that right there. So you got to be very careful you don't break that tab off. So I'll just go in, and instead of forcing a thicker screwdriver blade in there, I'm going to take a small chisel blade and get it in between there and just pop it right off. So that's a shame that those are cracked. Thankfully, everything else is held in place positively. But what that is right there, that's your where your frame pin fits into. What I might have to do is I might have to 3D print one of these so I have spares, because that's a really thin. I can make this bridge thicker on the outside. There's plenty of space in there for that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So there's that piece. The next thing, we need to take the gear tower halves apart. So you got two clips. You got a clip up here, and you got a clip down here. So all you have to do is unclip that one, and unclip that one, and pull the halves apart, and you got the insides. Now it's interesting, these gears are much, much different than the gears that were in the original version. In the original version, you just had 3 red gears and 2 white gears, and they were all the same size. But in this one, we've got this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gears with smaller ones here and a double gear here. So you got a large gear for the worm and then a smaller gear to drive this gear, which has a large gear and then another. Oh no, this one just has 1 gear on it. So that's the gear setup. So it's a little bit different than the original. And the worm gear is much smaller than the original also. So I'll put all this stuff in a tin, and I'll spray it with the Crc Degreasing Fluid, scrub it with a toothbrush, scrub it with some Dawn liquid detergent, and then it'll be all ready to reassemble. So we'll take that, put that aside. I'll keep the gears in there, and then we'll do the same thing with this one. Real quick. Of course, it's not happening quickly. Of course, I need to bend that down. There we go. You have to lift the truck up just a little bit and it'll go down. So there's the wheel sets. And the gears on the wheels are smaller too. That's interesting. Take that off. Get in here, pop these out. This one's cracked, And that one's cracked. So it is not a good design. There we go. Hopefully those will stay together and I won't have to worry about anything. And there's the other ones apart. So that's all taken care of. So that's how you take those trucks apart. When it's come time to reassemble them, we'll just do it in the reverse order, and I'll show you how easy that is. So I'm going to get these in the little tin. I'll get all the gears out and everything. Then I'm going to hose it down with the CRC. I'll show you that. And we'll get working on these trucks. So the only detail that's going to happen to these trucks, I was thinking about putting sanding hoses on, and they're like, nope, I'm not going to do that. It's not too much work to do that, but I think it's unnecessary. Now, I might change my mind. Excuse me. I might change my mind before I get to putting these things all back together. And if I do, there'll be a sanding hose coming out of here. I have to drill through here. And of course, all in all, 4 corners. And I'll show you how I do my sanding hoses. So if I do that, we'll go through that part of it too. So let me get these in a tin, and then we'll get some CRC degreasing fluid on them. Okay, so I have everything in the tin, all not piled on top of each other, but separately so that I can get the degreasing fluid on it. Before I put it in here, I use a Q-tip, and I'll get the bigger globs off and wipe that out. And again, this is the degreasing fluid I use. And I just shake it up real good. And it doesn't have an odor or anything like that. And just spray it on. Just like that. And then I'll let that sit for a little bit. And I'll take a toothbrush and just scrub each part. I'll put a glove on and just scrub each part. So I'm going to go ahead and do this out in the garage and at my workbench where I can stand up and work on it. And then I'll get them all cleaned up. And there's the parts all washed. Now I wash them in a strainer so I don't lose in the little parts, because these worm gears have 2 thrust washers on them. So you don't want to lose those. You can see they're already off in there. So now I just got to let these dry, and then I can actually detail them. And like I said, the detail that's going to go on these is a brake cylinder plumbing, and then a speed recorder on whichever journal I decide to use. So and we'll go through all that when I get to that. But now I just have to let these dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. In the last video, we took apart the trucks, and since then, I put the degreaser on them, and since then I've degreased them and got them all cleaned up. So you can see here that all the grease and everything is out of the insides. Everything is degreased very, very nicely, and I'm ready to start working on the trucks. But before that, between getting the trucks cleaned up and now, I made some different decisions for this model, and I did an experiment that didn't work out, so I'm back to square one. So I wanted to explain what I was going to do. So I've remedied this frame, useless for right now. I mean, I could build it back. It's fine, but right now it's useless because of my experiment. But that's okay. I have enough frames for the models that I want to do. And like I said, I'm doing this so that you don't have to. So what I did, I was thinking, excuse me, I was thinking, well, I'd really like to try to spruce up the trucks a little bit. So I thought, oh, you know what? I've got some Stuart Cotto F units, and I'm wondering if I could put the trucks from those under this. Well, it's possible to do that, and I did do that. You can see I've got the blocks glued up underneath there to get the bolster at the right place. I've trimmed off the top of the bolster, and for the keeper, the truck keeper for the Kato part, trucks and stuff. And I was like, oh man, this is working out great. And then it didn't. Although I could use it that way, it doesn't look good. And the problem with the Kato trucks is they're too nice. Well, they have the correct look to them and all that, but what happens is when you put the frame on, do you notice on this one how you don't see light up through here between the truck and the frame? Well, on the Kato one, it is wide open when you put the Kato gear tower and trucks in there. I mean, there is so much light up underneath there that it makes the trucks look small, and it doesn't make them look right. So I'm back to square one with just keeping these Roco trucks and the wheel wipers that go on the back for the pickup. The reason I was going to use the Kato trucks because they have a much more reliable electrical pickup system rather than these wipers that go on them. So that experiment fell through, but I'm glad I did it. I could have been sitting there wondering, oh, I should have done that, or I wonder how that would have been, and that kind of stuff. So I went ahead, did the experiment, didn't work. So let me get the camera set up over here, and I'll show you what I am going to do. Not for the trucks too, but for some other things. All right, so you saw that I've got the trucks all cleaned up. You can see part of it, all the parts sitting over here. So that is all ready to go. So for the first thing I'm going to do the trucks is I'm going to put different journal caps on them. So I got some square caps and some sloped caps, and then I have the one here. This one here is for the speed recorder. And these are all from Athearn. Athearn makes some really nice parts for these. And I tested them out. I haven't cut yet, but I test fitted them over. And it'll make these, let me zoom in a little bit. It'll make these journals. See if there we go. It'll make these journals look a lot nicer. I mean, these stick out like volcanoes with the hole in the middle. But anyways, and Athearn makes all of the different caps. The ones I'm using right now is, this one is the one with, let me see, these are the Hyatt caps. So if I wanted better looking Hyatt roller bearing caps, I would just put these on there. I have a whole bunch of these, enough to do more models than I would probably ever do in a lifetime. These ones are the, what do they call it, the Hyatt with the ATS shoe. I don't need these, but I have them anyway. These ones are the square with the speed recorder. And these ones are the, what are these ones? These ones are the square caps. And then, just a second, I threw away the package for the other one. Here we go. And these ones are the sloped bearing caps. I've used up all the sloped ones. You get 8 to a package. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mill off this bearing cap, keep the sliders, and they'll fit real nicely over there. I'll just glue them right over that. I was really hoping to be able to use the Kato trucks because of the electrical pickup, but again, it's not going to work out. So the first thing I need to do, the other thing I'm going to do is I got these, I have a whole bunch of the packages of these also. These are from Atlas, the brake, the plumbing to go between the brake cylinders. So I'll be putting those on. So if this was the front truck with this being the front, then I'll put the square bearing cap here with the hole in it for a speed recorder. Then I'll put a sloped bearing cap. On the other side, this will be a sloped bearing cap, and this will be a square. And it'll be same on the rear one. So if this was the rear one, we'll go square, sloped, sloped, square. And I got that off of looking at some CNEI FP7s. And you can mix these bearing caps. On the other ones, I'll probably have some Hyatts and mixed with some slopes, or Hyatt's mixed with some square. You know, I'll mix it up a little bit. But for this one, I want all, you know, square slope, you know, and do it that way. At first I thought that it was always, if there's a square cap on one side, there's a sloped cap on the other. And that's what I've been seeing in pictures, but it's not always square sloped, slope square. I've seen them all with square all on one side and sloped all on the other side. So you got to look at your pictures to figure out which way you're going to go with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up in the mill, and we'll go in and mill these off. Okay, well, moving along with the trucks. Oh, real quick, there are other things I'm going to be doing to the model that I said I wasn't going to do, but I'll get to those when I work on that portion. So I'll get to those later. But right now, we're making some headway on the trucks. Now, like I said, I'm going to be putting these Athearn journal boxes on. So I need to be able to cut these things. To cut these journals off, these Hyatt roller bearing journals off. Well, if I just put this in the vise, the machine or the milling vise by itself, there's too much flex in the side frames, in the whole assembly. So I needed to make something that will hold this frame and allow me to clamp it tightly. So I measured all the inside and I made this piece, and it fits very nicely and snug without flexing any part of the frame, just like that. So the bottom of this piece here sits inside of that, so that when I put the vise up against the bottom, I'm squeezing up against here, which is pushing against the block and not flexing anything, and up against here, and I can put a parallel underneath this portion and have it sit flat in the mill and squared. Flat in the mill and squared up like that. So you can see I've cut one off here. So let me set the camera up at the mill, and we'll go ahead and cut that one off, and then I'll go ahead and cut all the others off, you know, off camera, and we can then install all of these journal boxes. So let me get the camera set up. All right, so I'm going to be cutting off this journal. I'm using a 45 thousandths milling bit, and let's get this done. Now, I have to cut off the first coil on the spring down at the journals, and in order to get the journal box to fit on properly, but that's okay because there's a little too much spring showing anyway. So let me get this going. This black line you see right here, that's part of the light cord, so no big deal. Now, did you see that? This thing moved a little bit. That's because I was taking, there's nothing supporting the bottom of this. So there is a little bit of flex down in this. And I was taking too much of a cut, so it caused the frame to flex a little bit. I won't take as much of a cut and the frame won't flex. And that takes care of cutting off the journals on that side. Now, when you saw me going back and forth for a while over here, that was because I was trying to find the top of the slider over here so that I could do the finishing cut all the way across. So I've got the first spring cut and everything's even with these sliders. So I'll just go ahead and finish up all the other journals and we'll get back to detailing these. All right, well, I've got the journals machined off. As you can see there, there, and there. So it's all ready to put these on, but before I put these on, I have to cut the little pins off that are on the bottoms of these. For the Athearn ones, I guess on the side frames, they have little holes for these pins to go in, so they line them up. But I need to cut those off. And I need to grit blast this first so that I have a good tooth for the CA to bite into and secure the caps. I'll grit blast the caps also and stuff. But we'll do that in the next video. All right, so we're getting started on the modeling. I was going to do, show the adding the details, the journal boxes, doing all that in this video, but this video is already running a bit long. And I don't like these long videos because I know that people can get bored really easy. So I'm going to try to keep them a little bit shorter. So in the next video, we will start doing some detailing. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll stay with me on this. I hope I'll stay with you on this at least. But yes, I will. I want to get these FP7s done. I think they're going to be a lot of fun and such. So again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it.